starts running wild. My tongue gets tied, and that's no lie. Looking in your eyes, I'm looking in your big brown eyes. Oh yeah, and I've got this to say to you. Hey, girl, I want to make you sweat. Sweat till you can't sweat no more. And if you cry out, I'm gonna push it some more. Girl, I want to make you sweat. Sweat till you can't sweat no more.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:30. I'm on time today. Look at that. I actually I cut out Dunkin' Donuts in the morning. I never get a donut, but I get nice coffee and I pick up a piece of garbage. I'm doing a juice cleanse. So I'm on day 3, and yesterday was a really good day. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to skip Dunkin' Donuts again. Let's see if I could stack some days and change up the morning routine, get Dunkin' Donuts out of the routine for a while. They'll miss me, though. But anyway, my name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. I'm also the founder of Red Dog Mindset. I just saw Ken just said, good morning. The 2520 was great today, or so good today. Well, thank you. I do feel good. I had a nice workout. You know, we do a Monday through Thursday 20-minute workout where kind of get the blood flowing, get a nice sweat, get a little pump, start the day off on the right foot. And that was also after drinking some water, looking at what's happening around the world, sending out some tweets to the public, to Redler All Access. And now here we are at the 630 Club. This is where I go over about 10, 15 charts. I go over levels of the sectors, try and tell you what to think about, how to frame the day, the morning, 1 or 2 plans, some stocks that I'm looking at to make cash flow. And basically, I've been doing this now since 2020 for free. A lot of you guys combine the 2520 with the 630 Club by being a member of Red Dog Mindset. And if you're not a member and you like the 630 Club, you should subscribe above, because maybe one day you won't have this. And I do apologize, but that's going to be the case. So subscribe above for Red Dog Mindset, and also do the 2520 and also all the other great things that come along. But for now, you know, here we are. It's Tuesday. Yesterday looked a little different. You know, the futures were down 130 handles Sunday night. Yesterday morning, I said a bunch of things can happen. What are we going to do? Are we going to hold around 5% off highs, 662-ish? You know, or are we going to see the 200-day? Well, guess what happened? We held 662, and then a few things took place out throughout the course of the morning. What do? We reclaimed 669. So if you thought the active bears would be in control to see the 200-day lower, well, guess what happened? We reclaimed 669. You could have been a buyer here with the stop there, and PS went as low high as 679, and also took back 675. So this is a pretty bullish engulfing candle. Do you know what a bullish engulfing candle is? Well, you should, because on the weekends, I also post bar-by-bar analysis and go over candlesticks and whatnot. So anyway, pretty big candle, pretty big reversal. Some people are like, well, why did we reverse? We have all these problems. You have geopolitical tensions. You have private credit. You have AI disrupting different sectors of the market. I'm like, well, I'm not going to ask why. All I know is there's 3 different narratives. Depending on the market action, one gets louder than the next. And I want to give you ways to turn the noise off and make money. So anyway, if you bought here, you made some money. Then in the afternoon, I was on a Spaces at 3 o'clock, and all of a sudden, boom, the market like flashed. And at that point, I was short some oil, long some SPYs. I started buying some Amazon down too. And anyway, PS, it wound up being a really good day. So a lot of people in my community, Alpha Team, had a really nice day, you know, because we came in pretty tactical. There was no reason to be so long into the weekend, you know, when things were below the moving averages. So now, does this mean we're heading back up to the upper quadrant? I don't know. You know, all I know is the SPYs are up $1.25. I actually bought some down after hours, so I'm having a little head start to the day. I'll trim a little bit. You know, do we build above 679.92, which we're below for now? If we do the 8 days right here, and then this is going to be where there's a boatload, like a boatload of resistance. You know, so you have like a high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Will we get another one around here? So anyway, what I would do is I would trim into this strength and then see what the flavor of the day is. You know, President Trump came out and said the war is moving along faster than scheduled. That helped. You know, you had a big range in oil, hit 120 Sunday night, went down to 82, now it's at 92. Probably needs to trade in this little range for a little bit. So be careful with pricing. And if you remember yesterday, yes, bullish on semis. I told you guys yesterday, I said, if you remember on Thursday, I told you guys to look at a Vago to go red to green to make cash flow, and you could have made a lot of money. Mike Marvell also acted well post earnings, and Nvidia is only down $1. So those three names on top of the spies and Qs could have made you a lot of money. Look at Avago really strong. If you had your stop in, by the way, at 323, you never got hit from there, and then you could have bought it again, and now you had a nice day there. What's Avago doing right now? Avago is it's up another $1, so not a huge move, but yesterday was really the move that paid you. So if you have a third long, you trim a little bit. Marvell took a little bit longer. It did, but it never got into the post earnings gap. A lot of guys like Red Dog, all I do is your post earnings gap plays because you don't trade real time. So you buy it the day after earnings, and then you put your stop in. You would never have gotten stopped out. And if you trade actively and you were long from Friday, you could have added to it, didn't get stopped out. Now the question is, how does this build? So Vago's up a little bit. Marvell's up a little bit. Actually, it's flattish. But it's still, again, you could be long versus 83.40. I might even do that as a power play today for some of the guys. But it was better to buy in the hole. And then NVIDIA wasn't horrible. NVIDIA went green, had a little power, held where it had to. This head and shoulders pattern, the neckline still holding. So we'll see if it wants to get back up into the upper end of the shoulder where it failed out post earnings. It failed right there. So if you get out of the way when it failed to hold 193.80, you've been able to buy versus the 200-day. It's not so horrible. I did tell you yesterday that Bitcoin changed. It changed. What do I mean it changed? Well, it showed a little bit of a stronger character. When the market was getting beat up pre-market, it was actually up a little bit. So it's not really running away, but it's changed. You got to take little things and run with it, right? So you look at Bitcoin right now. Not the greatest, action here, but it's been horrible. So from horrible to not so, okay. Anyway, it held this 65. So now you have 60,000, 62.5, 65. Remember when it was here and I told you can go to 74? Well, it did. Now the question is, can it get above the 50-day? That's interesting. Will it get above 50? Well, it just kind of held 65, and there's been more money to be made. We remember yesterday I told you could buy Robinhood in the hole, right? Robinhood, different than a semiconductor. You could have bought it in the hole. It's not running away, but guess what? You've had tactical action. What's tactical action? I tell you that all the time. Well, remember this? Here, this was a red dog reversal right here at 70.43. Then it did another red dog reversal after this first one, came in at 73, hit 85, and then yesterday was decent as far as it went below the low from Friday, came back above it, and gave you a small little trade there. Remember, these are small little trades, so low, higher, low, higher, low. Something different than all these lower highs, and it has some room. So it's just little things to do. Yes, Oracle earnings today. I am not taking Oracle into earnings, but it's going to be really important. So that's true. Oracle, okay? Here's this lower range, another higher low. Guys have been making some money buying versus the lower end of the range, right? 135, 138, 141. Still nowhere. Here's your 50-day on Oracle. It's going to be interesting. So we'll see how that does for software. Here's Oracle. It's up 243. If you're long from yesterday in the hole, sell some. Microsoft also was a little wishy-washy yesterday, but it's got to prove that this was more than a broken bounce. Remember this inverted head and shoulders pattern? First you had your double top, right? That was up here, and then it's been horrible, and then finally it's been giving you some try. Hey, look at that! What a coinky dink! From your red dog reversal 383, which you guys all know, that gave you a 3-day move, a higher low. Then you could have bought versus 390, went up to 413. If you sold when it did the red dog reversal 411, guess what? You could have bought a 404-ish, right? That's exactly the level we went over yesterday at the 630 club. So you could buy versus 404-ish. 404-ish. Everyone's like, what's an ish? An ish is just like within the dollar. It could be 404.20, 404.60. It's an ish. Google was pretty good. Yeah, Google, I told you, will it stay below or reclaim 295? And what did Google do? It reclaimed it. Look at that candle. So Google kind of saved itself a little bit. So we'll see what kind of new sequence it has now. It's only up small, so maybe it's buyable. It reclaimed 295, was below that at 294. You could have bought 295, risked 92 cents, and made for yourself $7, $8, right? Anyway, the Qs, look at this, the Qs didn't even break last week lows. 91.91, and it reclaimed 595. So the SPYs were weaker and had to, make a new low, and then got back above the low of last week, where the Qs didn't even break it. So that was a good vehicle to go with. That's why tech was much better. So anyway, all little things, ways to make money, ways to be tactical, ways to keep your mind right. I know a lot of people were jumping out of their skin yesterday. I'm like, guys, cooler heads always prevail. If you're too long because you broke your rules the week before, obviously you're a little shaken up. If you, followed your rules last week and were down, had risk down, and maybe even had some shorts on or this and that, you almost had a double dip. You could have covered your shorts, got long verse levels, looked at some market discovery. Now we'll see what happens today. Is that a cup and handle on the NTLA weekly? Sam Stevens is asking me. Let me look at that. I don't really trade that name. Yeah, you could say it's got a big gap, so something bad happened here, obviously, for it to gap down. It's a therapeutic company. It's built a decent decent chart down here. I don't know the name. I'm just saying it looks decent. If I were you, I would just be in options, just because these things are tricky. We did have a really nice trade in HIMS last week. Someone's like, one of my guys who takes peptides, is in the best shape of his life at 55, is trying to get me to do it. I haven't done it yet, but I do take creatine. So I take creatine and I'm on a juice cleanse, trying to keep myself, mind, body, soul strong. But anyway, he was telling me that HIMS is going to get into the peptide business. So I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I bought options on this day. I'm like, I hate the stock. I hate the CEO, but you know what? From 70s down, I could buy $17 calls. So I bought $17 calls. Thought I was going to lose on it like a lot of other calls. And then, yes, it was a nice move. So the calls that I bought for $1 or $1.20, I sold them up to $5. So that helped me yesterday too. So now, if you're in this thing, which I'm not going to be in it, you could have a stop at 2097. So that's gap trading. I know T3 has gap trading, on a lot of my stuff, which I think needs to be changed. It's old already. But anyway, if you wanted to be in this is your out. This is like a pro earnings gap. You could be long versus 2097. And hey, if it gets above 2351, maybe there's continuation there. It's a different strategy than a red dog reversal. Trading versus a gap. Doesn't hold the gap, anything can happen. So if you think this is going to be strong, it's a start of a new sequence, well, then it better hold 21. Yes, NVIDIA reclaimed Friday's high after late shakeout. It did. Don't laugh, but I made a few dollars on GME. I'm not laughing at you. You could have made a few dollars on anything yesterday that went from the low end to the high end of the range. Tesla is a really annoying stock lately. It almost every time it looks like it's a setup that should do something different, it doesn't. Obviously, it's been caught in this downtrend since December. Look at that downtrend. And then it looked like it was going to break below the 200-day and didn't. Then it looked like it was going to do it again and didn't. Then it looked like it was going to do it again and didn't. Anyway, I wouldn't mind if it just changes, like break above this downtrend, do something different. Don't give you a day and a half on the other side, a day and a half on the other side, but that's the market we're in. So anyway, not gap trading, 100% gambling. Not sure what you're talking about there, but okay. 381.40. A gap gives you usually direction. If you trade a gap that's unfilled and it doesn't go into it, that means there's enough power that it keep it going in that direction. That's what gap trading is. There's also different types of gaps. You could have an exhaustion gap after a big move down, bad news gets priced in, goes up. You could have a stock that's trending up for 6-7 months, has great news, gaps up, exhaustion comes in, and then there's just continuation gaps. There's a lot of stuff with gaps. I have a whole workshop on gaps. I could talk about it for 4 days, but I'm not gonna. Anyway, so Tesla is up a little bit. I would just trim it. Tesla, a lot of things are up a little bit today with the SPYs. So if you bought Tesla yesterday in the hole, if you chose to go with Tesla, all you need to do is feel comfortable with your go-to list and hopefully see if your go-to list is acting better than other things. Poet Poet, it's just a small stock that it's trying to show some that it's building. It's a futuristic type name. You can't just be in Poet. You can't trade Poet for a living. It could be in your portfolio for down the road. ASTS yesterday was a little slow. I did buy it early, and it didn't really work until later in the day, to be honest. You know, it did reclaim 89.45, gave you a new point of reference at 86.55. So if you're in it long tactically, you could be in it long versus 86.55. That's your out. And maybe it starts to get a little bit better. It wasn't great yesterday. It kind of felt like it got dragged up towards the end of the day but it's up $2 today. So if you did buy it, when it reclaimed 89.45, trim some, not so bad. There was some news with Joby. Joby is included in the next Dome project, which is good. A lot of guys said, "Hey, Red Dog, what about Joby?" And I just missed it. I was going to buy it just to have back on from 20 all the way down, a little reversal candle. So Joby's up a little bit. Actually, some guys in power plays have it left over, so I'm happy for them. 1050-ish. So we'll see how much of this up move holds. Drones. The drones have been kind of tough. ONDS, it's up 9 cents. It's not doing a whole lot. You would think that they're going to have to replenish a lot of drones and do a lot of buying because they used a lot of drones in this warfare. But the chart right here is, struggling. So we'll see what that means. Struggle. ONDS is on the struggle bus, just like most of it. So anyway, it's just rebuilding. A lot of these names are just rebuilding because the stock market's been in a really big channel. Bank of America, no one's asked me about a bank in a while. The banks have been broken. JP Morgan did give you a little bottom tail, but did a red dog reversal down here. So I would say if you needed to be in a bank, Phil Placho, be in JP Morgan. But if you want me to look at Bank of America, fine. But this was the last time I looked at Bank of America, just like everything else. Little bottom tail, correction phase, below all the moving averages. Gave you a way to get out of it. Kind of gross, to be honest. Maybe it has a broken bounce or something to here. Not special. I don't see that many special things out there. SanDisk might have gained its leadership back a little bit. Big candle yesterday. Red dog reversal. Went back above 526 after making a low here at 517. Didn't get to 502. I would assume this is up today a little bit. Hopefully, given I liked when stocks follow the rules like this. Again, broke 607, went down to 526, came back up. Is SanDisk up today? Should be. I would say $12. $10. So yeah, if you took SanDisk home long, you made some good money. And now 607-ish is probably a spot you want to watch to see if there's a change. So I would be trimming into that area. You bought Goldman yesterday at the lows, sold with a 4% gain. That's good, Phil. There you go. You could have done that in a lot of places. This too. This actually, Goldman Sachs is stronger than JP Morgan. Why is it stronger than JP Morgan? Relative strength, held at 200-day. JP Morgan, below the 200-day. That's resistance. So anyway, good job picking Goldman Sachs. So for today, it'll be interesting to see, do we get a little bit of upside follow through, which we can. Once again, in the SPYs, I would say there's a little bit of room. Like midday, if I posted charts sometimes around 11 o'clock, just morning follow up, and I talk about some of the things that I was looking at in the morning that executed, some that didn't, and I talk about where the SPYs are, where they can go. And when we were back here, after took this back, I'm like, you might be able to see a move to 679-ish. So don't short here, and then which people didn't. Now I would say, hey, maybe we could see a move towards, 685-ish. So if we were to go up, if we went to 682, I would probably sell 685 calls for tomorrow as a hedge to take in a few dollars in premium. But anyway, we'll see what happens here. Will it be a lower high? Might not even get there. Maybe get, I'm just saying this is a huge candle. It's gonna have to be absorbed. So you'll see what stocks do better. Kenny's asked me about NEO. NEO, oh my goodness, I haven't looked at NEO since last Shavuos. What's a Shavuos? If you know, you know. Anyway, yeah, just as bad as Tesla. K-Web started acting better. China. Kidding. I said yesterday you could probably buy a K-Web, and K-Web looked like it had a little bottom move on K-Web. So if you bought it yesterday, you got to still take some trades. You can get to, there. Anyway, so that's that. Baba finally put a low in wouldn't get so excited about it. But it too, broken. So many of these names, look how broken these are. If you feel like you've missed something, you haven't missed anything. Everything's been a broken trade. Broken, broken, broken. So where could Baba get to? Maybe he gets to the 8-day, or maybe a retest where it's broken from 145-ish. Anyway, my thoughts on Nebis, NBIS. It's just in a range. It's building. A lot of people love this stock for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It had a really big move last year. It's just digesting it. Nice candle yesterday. It's probably up a little bit this morning. Where's NBIS? It's up $1.95. It's got some room. Still in the range. It's if you have a thesis here, it's fine. It's just not a time for momentum, a time for a rebuild. So if you want to accumulate it, it's didn't get to the 200-day. Looks like you can get into here. It's better than other things. The new special is better than other things. That's the market we're in right now. But anyway, listen, guys, at 6:51, I'm only allowed to do the 6:30 club for 20 minutes. I'm going to put about 40 charts with multiple game plans around different names, different sectors in the Alpha team. If you want to join the Alpha team, you should. I think we're planning another open house the week of April 20th, so you can try it for free. If you like the 6:30 club and I give you levels and you make some money, a lot of people made a lot of money yesterday based on the 6:30 club because I gave you what needed to happen to relieve pressure. Well, you should subscribe above to the Red Dog Mindset because this isn't always going to be here for free. And it's just a matter of time. So get grandfathered in. And if you do watch the 6:30 club, you remember the Alpha team, you're always going to have it. Redler All Access is always going to have it. But if you just watch it, which is cool since 2020, then you might want to make sure you lock yourself into subscribe above. So you have the 25-20 into the 6:30 club, win the morning, win the day, and then get ready to execute on the X's and O's with a little bit more confidence, feeling good about it, because sometimes you could get off your game. Sometimes you could be in a rut. So you got to do a lot of things in the morning to get your mind right so you can execute with confidence and lead to P&L gains so you can get a check, right? We all got to get a check and pay the bills. Well, hopefully you're doing so, and let's see if we could stack day 2. Have a good one, my guys.
Smoking, papi ganja, smoking, papi ganja. Babylon, you break the pillars that you made to plan out your garden is a mistake. Man is the roots and not the branches. See through your life like the son of a God. Bless I with the abundant serve for meditation. Grow it and spread it to the whole nation. No matter you spread negative vibration. All wrapped up in depression. But in my herbal garden, is that sweet medicine for me? In my herbal garden, what inspired this melody? To burn, put your too long to work. Oh, I step, put your too long to work. Yeah, Bobby Ganja smoking, Bobby Ganja. Yeah, Bobby Ganja smoking, Bobby Ganja. Familiar is a gift from Jah. I will not follow your man-made law. The not has no trouble with your herb in me pipe. Yes, me fire up and yes, me feel alright. Place up the green with me feeling the blues. To plant right for see the spots I choose. Never disrespect, I will never abuse. If Lord is the book, I follow the rules. In my herbal garden, it's a sweet medicine for me. In my herbal garden, it's what inspired this melody. So burn, put your two lungs to work. Oh, I say burn, put your two lungs to work. Yeah, ganja smoking, body ganja. Yeah, body ganja smoking, body ganja. In a